everybody, and welcome to another episode here of Core Time by Core Timepieces. I am one of the co-founders of Core Timepieces. My name is Kareem.
I'm Steven. How's it going, guys?
And, very happy to have you all here. If you haven't been here before, please make sure to subscribe and join us as we put more and more episodes out. So for some of you that may have never been to this channel before, you may want to know, why we're doing this podcast, what's the whole reason behind it. We have a lot of folks that see us at shows and are always saying, tell us more about the brand. We only can understand so much from the site. And we wanted to do that kind of in our own voice, also to be able to get feedback from you all about things that we're doing or things that we're interested in.
Yeah, build that community.
Right, exactly. So, we're really happy to be here and to kind of communicate with you all about the things that sort of make Core Timepieces what it is. And with that in mind, we'll talk a little bit now and again about some of the history. You may have seen some other podcasts, but if you haven't, kind of give you a little bit of an abbreviated version. Go for it, Steve.
Yeah, it's that famous line, it started in a bar.
Yes.
And it really did. And not only did it start in a bar, but it started on that cocktail napkin, drawing that up. It was that inspiration. I drew the sketch, you took that sketch, and 3 months later, we had that prototype in hand. And that beginning of doing the Mickey Mouse watch and doing, I don't want to say novelty, but it was a novelty. It is a novelty idea. It's a novelty watch that's done really well.
Correct.
It really started when I was a little kid.
And that's a question. Can novelty watches be done well? That's a comment for you all. What do you all think?
Well.
What do you all think I'm saying? To the audience.
Well, when we were at Art Basel, one of those customers that came up to the booth, they said, "Oh, you're a novelty watch." And then when Rob started talking to him about what was in it, how it was built, materials, he was like, "Wow, it's like, this is not a novelty watch." And I chimed in, like, "No, it is." But going back to sort of the history, it started when I was a kid reading Playboy magazine. In the back of the magazine, there was a watch, and it was called the Time to Fuck watch. And
look at that.
it's a lenticular disc on the second hand, and as it turns, it says "Time to Fuck" with a little naked girl. Like, you're not gonna be able to see it. I'll put a screenshot up. But I had that in mind when we started this, as sort of like, what can we do that's going to be a
Like
little
a cool
bit different?
reveal.
Yeah, and this watch was like, I don't want to say the holy grail, but I was like, this is such a cool watch. I remember it in the magazines. For 4 or 5 years, I've been looking for this watch. I finally found it a couple of months ago. It came a couple of weeks ago, and here it is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's definitely an automatic movement, but I'm afraid to open up the case back. The crown is a little tight, but it works. It's fast, but it works. I don't think I would ever wear it.
Yeah.
But
Well, let's talk a little bit, because we got a guest that's going to be coming on in a couple of minutes here. So I want to start by saying a little bit about what I got on my wrist. Steven will talk about what he's got on his wrist real quick. And then as we have a drink, that's right. And then we will introduce a guest. So I've got one of our Fury GMTs on. It's the deep purple. We actually, when we first created this, sold out of this quite fast. It was probably one of the first, sellouts that we had, and people seem to really, really love this. I mean, I like it. It's titanium. It's got great brightness in the dark. Obviously, it looms very well. It's got a loomed up date window, which is excellent, and I just love it. It's a daily beater. It's a traveler. I take it with me everywhere I go. I really love this Fury GMT. We'll put links to it. What do you got on over there? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, important things. More important things.
very more. What I just realized is Basil Hayden is a Jim Beam.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these, smaller brands keep getting bought up by those conglomerates. What are you gonna do?
I'm a Jim Beam guy. I love Jim Beam.
Yeah, no, I know you love it.
That conversation.
We'll have another podcast about how Steven likes Jim Beam. But what you got over there?
I'm wearing Original Sin, the second version of Original Sin. On the titanium dial, it's got the engraved snake. And news to you guys, news to you. I've got an idea for next launch that we've been talking about.
That'll be for another show.
Incorporate the snake.
We're gonna
third version of Original Sin. Great idea. Maybe I'll throw a screenshot up. but we'll talk about it later.
Maybe. Well, yes.
But yeah, I'm wearing Original Sin. It's got the 7 Sins window. It's on Envy right now. I remember when we first started this, you were talking about anytime we would be out, you'd be like, what's in it? Like, no, you gotta let it go, and you gotta embrace and rebel against. But Envy is the one that I use.
People do it either way.
That's what I got on my wrist.
That's really cool. And so, we're going to get into it a little bit now with a guest that we're going to bring on, a good friend of ours, Scott Battinger from Disrupt Idea. We're going to let him kind of say a little bit about himself, and then we'll ask him some important questions here in the hot seat. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, Scott, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh,
yeah, much appreciated.
We're so excited to have you on here. This is one of the first episodes here of Core Time. Really thrilled to have you on here. And for people in the audience here who don't know about yourself or your background, could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and kind of explain a little bit?
Sure. My name is Scott Battinger. I'm a partner at an ad agency called Disrupt Idea. We've been working in the watch space since inception, so about 7 years. And then I've been in the watch space as a collector since I was 4. So I blame my watchmaking grandfather, who gave me my first mechanical Mickey Mouse watch when I was 4. And that is when the addiction started.
This is what we love about you, Scott, is that was going to be one of our first questions.
Oh, you already answered.
One step ahead of
the
us.
whole interview's over already. You talked for 5 seconds. The interview's over. Thanks for coming.
Keep going.
Excellent. That's what, I like those types of interviews.
Your grandfather gave you the first watch.
Yep, I still have it. It's a little Bradley Mickey Mouse watch. It still works. Never has been serviced. Keeps time pretty accurately. And so that was my first watch. My second, probably one of the more important watches that I bought was I was 16. I went into the mall. For whatever reason, they gave me in-store credit, even though I wasn't legally able to do it. And I bought Movado because, that was the hot thing at the time. And then had, a bunch of swatches and all the other things that the 80s kids had. That actually led to just befriending a couple of different jewelers, buying way too many things. I ended up actually owning a Swiss brand for about 7 years. And did the North American distribution, spent a lot of time at Basel, at JCK shows. Probably my best JCK moment was we went out with Carmelo Anthony on his 21st birthday.
Yep.
That was spectacular. And so I have a lot of really good memories associated with different watches and some that are hazy.
Yeah, and like full disclosure, Core and Disrupt has done some work together, and you've showed me that company that you had, and I will say definitely an inspiration for some of our upcoming watches. So we'll have to get one of those on your wrist.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to some of the new stuff too. I love your Core collection already though.
Nice. I got a question for you. Did you start, well, you kind of answered this already, but did you start the marketing agency to market micro brands and watch brands, or did you have the agency and then you were like, you know what, I'm a watch guy, these are gonna be my customers?
Yeah, no, we started our biggest clients are QSR restaurants. So we do beyond just like the advertising, we do all of their websites, a lot of their even item creation and menu development. And what's neat about Disrupt is, unlike most agencies, we are much better when we know more and have more control. So my gig prior to this was I was the CMO for a publicly held company in Milwaukee and private in a wealthy family. And before that, I was an agency creative director. And my complaint always was we were given all these neat projects, but they were a project. It really didn't solve any of the actual business problems. And so when I got to actually like solve business problems, and that's what we try to do with Disrupt too, is find ways to actually lower friction, so it's easier for people to do business with you, strengthen emotional connections, so they actually remember why they did business with you, and share it with their friends. And so the watches just kind of came in because of just my past relationships, and then the 2 degrees of separation that is the entire watch industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, someone said someone to something, and then all of a sudden we had another watch client, which is great. And our watch clients range from a myriad of micro brands to a couple of majors, some really big stores, watch subscription services. So they're kind of all around the board.
Let me ask a question, just kind of view of 50,000 feet. I mean, what is it that you appreciate about watches or watchmaking? I mean, when you think about that, what is it that draws you to that?
Sure. So I am an art director by profession. So I definitely design is first and foremost for me. I like things that are unique. You know, that's what I appreciate about like your collection. Because from a design perspective, it's original and unique and doesn't look like everything else, either in its approach with the Seven Sins watch or the colorway. You know, there aren't many watches that are bright pink or bright orange, or and I'm kind of a and again, art director guy. So like I'm wearing a stupid green shirt, which I bought only because I've got a new green watch, and then you know it's just a terrible cycle.
Well, I will say I've had many conversations with you that was not about marketing and more about product design, and I am eternally grateful.
Absolutely.
So, Scott, what do you think micro brands, watch brands should be doing differently in the future?
I mean, I think from a micro brand standpoint, the thing that makes the micro brand business and connection to the customers different is the connection to the customers, right? Like you're essentially people are kind of buying you, your beliefs, your design theory, all of that. And so I think what I've found, and this is through, you know, I'm a member of Red Bar and every Facebook watch group, probably almost all of them. And honestly, like the thing that differentiates the micro brands is the ability to have conversations and build relationships with the brand owners. One of our other clients is the Minutes and Hours show that used to be called LA Microlux. And so we've been helping promote that show since 2000. How long? 19?
Great show.
I think it's, yeah, when it started. Thank you. Yeah. And it keeps growing and growing. And what's always awesome is to see the people that stood in line outside the door waiting to get in to meet the guys behind the watches that they've been wearing all year and that they love.
I want to talk about that for a second, right there. Sorry but I want to talk about
Sure.
it. So we were at the Microlux show, now, you know, changed names, as you know. I think it was last year, and it was in Austin, Texas. And I was out there, and we spent some time together, which was great too. And I will never forget, a person came up to the table and said, I have every single watch that you guys have ever made, except for this one. And it was the black gold, which we don't do right now. We may get back into it, but we sold out of it. We don't have that anymore. And he was like, I'm here for it. I'm here for you guys. And it was like amazing to basically just, you know, the same thing you're saying there, that, you know, for us as brand owners, that is the greatest compliment you could ever get, where you connect with the customers. They are coming to you saying, hey, I've been following your stuff, or I'm really interested in my first piece, or I've got all of them except for this one, like this gentleman had. And I just felt so great. I think I texted Steve immediately. I'm like, I think I just met our first super fan. Like, this guy has like all of our watches except for this one. And I ended up, you know, giving him a really good deal on the watch, because, like, you know, that's what you want. You want those people that are going to be ambassadors for you, for the brand. They love what you do. They connect with it. They connect with what you're doing. And so I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. And I experienced it at that show. So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And I think another, there's the when that happens, and then what I also really loved when I had my brand too, is when you just randomly see your product and yours, which is great because it's unique. You can actually see it and tell that it is it,
Yes.
from 50 feet away on someone's wrist.
Yep.
And as much as influencers and celebrities are neat, honestly, like the seeing it on just the wrist of a normal guy
Yep.
is honestly better in my opinion, because like when you see it on a celebrity's wrist, you're like, and I wonder how much that cost.
Yeah. And it's unprompted. It's like you know, and I've seen that too. I've seen that at, Worn and Wound and some other places, some other shows that we've been to, walking around, be like, oh my God, that guy's wearing a Fury right there, or that guy's wearing a Seven Sins. And it's always just, you get super excited about it. I think part of it too is because as micro brands, you're not making that many. You're making a certain amount, right? You're spending the time to make it, well, and it's a limited run most of the time, or reordering. We're all trying to grow as businesses, so we don't make thousands and thousands off the bat. So when you see it out there, it's kind of like seeing that needle in a haystack. It's like, oh my God, there's like the white elephant right there. Like it's right there. And you feel really good because it's.
But that's also that's the whole reason behind what we're doing now with this podcast is we're only going to make a limited run. So we want to get it right. We want to get these watches on the wrist of people that want it. So instead of, making a bunch and saying, well, let's see if it sells.
Yeah.
And that's where my research background comes in.
Some of the customer journey and bringing that in and getting feedback. I mean, and to that point, I mean, anyone who's, on this podcast today, please leave your comments below as we're talking through these things. Your feedback is super, super important to us for the things that we're doing today and the things we're doing in the future, for sure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just basically, again, thank you so much, Scott, for, coming on the show. Really, really appreciate your feedback and everything you have to, contribute to the watch community. So for people here who, again, want to get in touch with you, other businesses, other micro brands, or really just companies that are looking for great marketing, how can they sort of do that? And we'll obviously put links below. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, it's just look up Disrupt Idea. You will find us on the interwebs and click around and you can get in contact with us. Yeah, we'd love to help and just meet more new people. Honestly, like the thing that's most enjoyable is there's a couple things that are enjoyable, like when we actually do the work and it gets the results, and then we all have the celebratory bourbon at the end.
Yes.
But honestly, just meeting more people and learning kind of their why. That's what I find also really interesting about like the micro brand owners. Like everyone has a really unique why I did this, because it's usually not to get rich, right? Like there's one or two micro brand owners that are driving around in Ferraris, but usually it's not from the micro brand company. It's usually the micro brands are usually the passion project of watch lovers,
right,
seeking something that isn't out there. And it's always fun to like learn the why I'm doing this and what I hope to accomplish, and to your point too, I think it has a lot to do with kind of the ability to have interesting, cool relationships with new people.
Yes.
That's the other neat thing. That's what I really like a lot about the Facebook groups as well, is you can, as a micro brand owner, go in one of the micro brand communities and have a lot of really interesting conversations, and also just listen to what the market kind of wants and what people are complaining about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, I want to know what they're complaining about. Like, tell me what's wrong and we'll make it better. Right? Like,
or not, or sometimes we're going to say, we've heard you out, but we're deciding to go the other way. And that's part of breaking the mold too. I mean, our goal here as a brand is to always be pushing the envelope, trying to do something a little bit different. So, that's going to not always ring true with people. People are going to look at it and say like, oh, that's not like anything I've ever seen before. That's the point. It's exactly the point.
Right.
But no, I mean, Scott, listen, can't thank you enough. And we'll make sure to put all those links below. And for everybody out there, thanks so much for tuning in, and looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah, we'll see you at the next Minutes an Hour show, right?
Sounds good. Yeah. See you there.
Great.
See you there, guys.
Scott, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh man, that was great talking to Scott. Right?
Yeah, he's a great guest, really a great guest, and what a cool history too. I mean, how we started with that Mickey Mouse watch. That's an important thing for us with the 7 Sins and all that. It was really good.
It was really cool. I remember the first time you talked about him was at the Microlux, now Minutes and Hours show.
Yeah.
You sent the photo of our watch on a piece of art. Yes. I was like, that's genius. I'm like, who did that? And it turned out to be him. Yeah, he's a great guy. You guys should check out Disrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely equal parts marketing and also artist, which is great, art director. So definitely.
I will say this: he sees some of the designs I do before you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, not always, but every now and then I run it by him, like, hey, what do you think about A, B, and C? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I've been talking to him a lot about quartz watches. I know your take on the quartz watches, but
they have a place.
They have a place, and maybe it'll be on our site.
Never know.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
Cheers, man. Great show. Great. Enjoyed it. Please subscribe, everybody. We got a lot of interesting things coming up, so we'll just keep you guys in tune with everything we've got coming up: shows, events, new product releases, and looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah, see you guys soon.